Welcome back everyone to a brand new SkillCapped video. My name is Sean and I'll be taking over for Dan in this one as he enjoys his summer vacation. The absolute best way for you to climb solo queue the fastest is by playing a select few champions. It's no secret by now, and it's been proven time and time again that limiting your champion pool and being consistent with it is the simplest fix many players can make. If you're having a difficult time choosing which champion you want to stick with, then this video is going to do the trick. We'll be breaking down the 3 best champions to one trick for every single role. We follow 2 major pieces of criteria to choose the champions for the list. First is that each champ needed a ban rate lower than 10%. Even though someone like Sivir is super broken right now, it's not practical to one-trick her with a ban rate over 30%. Second is that each champion needed to be rewarding to play once mastered, and bonus points for being strong in meta.
But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below.
If you're a top lane main and have ever had to lane against a mastered Rengar, you likely had thoughts of going AFK. Rengar is such a devastating top lane pick once mastered, which makes him extremely good to one trick. Rengar's ban rate is only 4% and his one trick win rate is at 58%. So he's got the kind of stat line you want to see in a good one trick champ. First of all, very few of your opponents will have actually had experience playing into Rengar, so if you're able to learn matchups, you can exploit the enemy's lack of knowledge extremely well. The way Rengar wants to play lane is super unique compared to most top laners, as you look to utilize your passive by heavily playing around brush. Rengar's early kill threat is insanely good if you can play to his limits, which will take a good deal of time to learn. With a lead, Rengar's zone power and ability to completely take his opponent out of the game is some of the best for any champion, so taking the time to learn him is definitely worthwhile. Lethality is the most popular Rengar build right now, running Eclipse as your mythic item. There are a ton of viable rune options for Rengar, but Grasp is really strong to amplify laning power. If you want to one-trick a top laner with less of a learning curve, then Mordekaiser is a phenomenal choice. Mord barely makes the cut for the video with a ban rate of 9% and a very respectable 57% one-trick win rate. Mordekaiser is especially potent in the lower ranks, so if you're looking to climb low elo the fastest, he's a great pickup. Although Mord may not be as difficult to play as Rengar, there's still many ways to express your skill on the champ. Mord E is by no means an easy skill shot to land, so being able to hit it on a consistent basis is key. You can only take one opponent into the death realm, but there are 5 to choose from, so selecting the optimal target is a big factor in your success. The standard build for Mordekaiser is Riftmaker into Rhyalize and Demonic Embrace. However, if you want more durability instead, you can swap the Riftmaker for Sunfire. For runes, grab Conqueror's the Keystone and run Resolve for secondaries with Second Wind and Revitalize. Riven has been an excellent top laner to one trick for most of Season 12 and rounds out the top 3 for top lane. I can't remember a patch this season where Riven's ban rate poked over 10%, as it's sitting around 2% at the time of this video. One trick win rate is in a great spot as well at 57%. Riven's very similar to Rengar in the sense that when you gain an early advantage, you can completely obliterate your opponent from then on out. This makes it so that spending a ton of time learning matchups and understanding when you can be the aggressor is very important. With potions nerfed a few patches back, it's even more rewarding to play someone like Riven who can punish mistakes very well. The skill ceiling for Riven is also quite high compared to the average top laner, so it makes her a great champ to one trick. Core build for Riven consists of a Gore Drinker Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Death Stance 3rd. Grab Conqueror's the Keystone with Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Best secondaries are Nimbus Cloak and Transcendence. So many of the OP junglers have very high ban rates right now, so it was slightly more difficult to choose for the role. With that said, one jungler who's perfect to one trick and is very underrated for the current meta is Rek'Sai. Ban rate's around 7%, which is actually higher than anticipated, while her one-trick win rate is at a whopping 60%. Rek'Sai is one of the more unique junglers in terms of how she can set up ganks and make plays happen. Her tunnels allow for 200 IQ pathing to avoid potential wards and sneak in behind areas the enemy won't expect to gank from. With flash available, Rek'Sai has some of the best gank power for any jungler, so learning the champ and being able to exploit that every game makes her great to one trick. On the flip side though, if you fall behind on Rec, her ability to impact games later on is quite lackluster, so it's imperative that you know what you're doing throughout the early levels. Prowler's Claw is your mythic item, followed by Edge of Night and Guardian Angel. For runes, roll with Conqueror and dip into Inspiration for secondaries, running Freeboots and Cosmic Insight. Although he's not in the most broken state right now, if you've wanted to one-trick Graves, now is a great time to do so. Whenever Graves is front and center in meta, his ban rate spikes pretty hard, but right now, it's only 6%. The fact Graves has no hard CC and is 100% reliant on dealing damage to be effective means he requires more skill than the average champ to see consistent results. Your mechanics need to be on point to see the most success with Graves, which won't come super easy. The 1v9 power once you know what you're doing though is ridiculous, as Graves can pump out a ton of consistent burst with a few items. One-shotting squishies with auto attacks isn't something many other champions can do, so getting ahead on Graves feels really good. The build you want to run is an Umbral Glaive Rush into Eclipse second and the Collector third. For runes, pick up Fleet Footwork and run Domination for secondary with Zombie Ward and Treasure Hunter. Viego has definitely seen better times power-wise, but his kit remains extremely OP and very influential if you know what you're doing. A couple months ago when Viego was meta, you would have been lucky to play him in solo queue with his ludicrous ban rate, but it's dropped to below 6% now. Despite the average win rate for Viego sitting below 50%, his one-trick win rate is higher than most junglers at 58%. If you know how to pilot Viego optimally, he has an incredibly strong skirmish, so if you like those champs who can stick around in fights for an extended period of time, Viego is a great one-trick choice. Build for Viego has evolved in recent patches as Divine Sunderer was nerfed, leading to more priority for Frostfire Gauntlet. Blade of the Ruin King Rush into Frostfire second and Death's Dance third is the core. Conqueror is the keystone with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Pick up Freeboots and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. Just recently buffed and in an amazing spot to one-trick for mid lane is Tristana. Trist is only banned in 1% of games and has a one-trick win rate of 61%. A mid laner like Tristana is so potent for solo queue if played to her limits, as she can exert an insane amount of early pressure. Level 2 all-in power is nuts, and Tristana's level 3 spike becomes even more ridiculous now with her Q attack speed buffed by 15%. Once you learn your openings and when you can strike, the solo kills will be of plenty, and especially for the lower ranks where players won't know the early power of Trist. You can punish them super hard. Not only can you easily solo kill your lane opponent, but using that priority to then play off your jungler or look for invade plays yourself can extend leads even further. The build for Tristana is a Kraken Slayer into Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge. Run Hail of Blades as the keystone with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collector, and Treasure Hunter. Triumph and Bloodline are great for secondaries. The only champion that meets our criteria for this video who's also in our OP tier on the tier list is Vex. Despite Vex's current solo queue power level, she isn't being banned very much at only 8%, while her one-trick win rate is 58%. One-tricking Vex is well worth it because her ability to hard counter the most played mids is insanely good, and her kit offers this catch and burst playstyle you can demolish games with. A fed Vex who can consistently land her ultimate is a nightmare as you burst one target, wait on cooldowns, then use the reset on R to take out another. Build for Vex is Illuden's Rush into Shadowflame second and Zhonya's or Rabadon's third. Runes are Electrocute with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collector, and Ultimate Hunter. Grab Mana Flow and Scorch for secondaries. One of the most rewarding mid lane mages once mastered is Cassiopeia. Ban rate is around 2% and Cassio's one-trick win rate is 59%. The sheer consistent DPS is unmatched by most mid laners and allows for a good Cassio player to easily solo carry games. It's way easier said than done though, as landing Q isn't easy to do when you first pick up the champ. Miss Q and Cass is worthless. Hit every Q, and she can be the most broken champ in the game. It's not just the constant damage threat either, as finding multi-man flash ult plays can be absolute game changers. You have a variety of ways to impact games on Cassiopeia, so learning the ins and outs of the champ is definitely worth it. Core build is Liandry's into Archangel second and Rylai's third. For runes, run Conqueror with Presence of Mind, Tenacity, and Last Stand. Jhin is arguably the #1 ADC you can one-trick for solo queue. We say this because the champion always seems to remain in a good spot, and his ban rate is never exceedingly high. For the entirety of Season 12, Jin's hovered between our OP and S tier on the tier list, so he's been an incredibly reliable pick. The stat line for Jin consists of a ban rate below 2% and a one-trick win rate of 57%. A Master Jin player has many different avenues to carry from, as he can deal a good amount of damage, but has the edge up on most ADCs in regards to long-range pick power. Everyone's going to have a bad game and lose lane from time to time, but if you're a one-trick Jin, there are ways you can be impactful even if you're behind and damage is lacking. Build for Jin consists of a Gale Force Rush into the Collector's second and Rapid Fire Cannon third. For runes, take Fleet Footwork with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Best secondaries are Celerity and Gathering Storm. One champion you really need to one-trick in order to play to his limits is Ezreal. Ban rate for Ezreal is only 2%, while his one-trick win rate is 56%. Getting that Ezreal on your team who just sits in the back line and only throws Qs off cooldown is so frustrating. There's so much more to the champion than hitting Qs, as utilizing passive attack speed properly and knowing when to aggressively E in are key to mastering S. Ezreal players who can hit consistent Qs and know when to shift in are a treat to watch and make him a great ADC to one-trick. Standard Ezreal build is Trinity Force Rush into Man Immune second and Cyrilda's Grudge third. For runes, it's Press the Attack with Presence of Mind, Bloodline, and Coup de Grace. Magical Footwear and Biscuits are optimal secondaries. Recently buffed, and our third one-trick recommendation for ADC is Kai'Sa. With just a 2% ban rate and a 56% one-trick win rate, Kai'Sa is a great one-trick choice. Kai'Sa has a ton of carry power built into her kit, but all that potential can be a double-edged sword as well. Mechanically, Kai'Sa isn't extremely demanding. It's really the decisions you make with ultimate specifically that differentiates Kai'Sa players. If you got a noob Kai'Sa on your team, it stands out like a sore thumb, as she's going to be ulting into the backline and dying in every single fight. Mastered Kai'Sa players know how to control their aggression and take calculated risks, which isn't something that comes easy. This makes Kai'Sa an exceptional ADC to one-trick, as there's so many different ways you can play fights with the pick. Kai'Sa's build is Kraken for the Mythic with the Collector's second and Phantom Dancer third. Run Hail of Blades for the Keystone with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collector, and Treasure Hunter. Presence of Mind and Bloodline for the secondaries. If you want to be the main carry from the bot lane and don't want to rely on your ADC for all the damage, consider one-tricking Xerath. Xerath has a ban rate of 4% and his one-trick win rate is 57%. As a champion who's 100% skill shot reliant, it shouldn't be a surprise we would recommend him as a one-trick champ. Xerath has massive potential, but at the same time, he can be the most useless support in the game. You've got to be able to hit your poke in lane, and an easy trick to increase your hit rate is to only throw abilities when the enemy ADC is going for last hits. As the enemy goes to auto, they're forced into a fixed position for a split second, which gives you a greater chance of landing spells. Xerath's build is Illuden's Rush into Horizon Focus second and Zonya's or Rabadon's third. For runes, pick up First Strike with Freeboots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Mana Flow and Scorch are the best secondaries. The support you almost need to one-trick in order to see optimal results is Bard. One-trick bards are winning 57% of the time, and he's banned in only 1% of games. What makes Bard so unique is that there's always ways for you to improve on the champ no matter how much you've played him. Bard Ultimate is a spell that can be used in so many different ways for better or for worse, depending on who's piloting the champ. The long-range pick power is extremely valuable for solo queue, but at the same time, if you use R on the wrong target, it can solo lose you the game. Knowing when to roam is also very key with Bard, and not as important with most other supports, so it's something that takes time to learn. Similar to Xerath, Bard can be a very volatile champion, but once you put the time into his carrying power, is hard to match. Build for Bard is Imperial Mandate into Frozen Heart second and Force of Nature third. For runes, run Guardian with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Secondaries are Zombie Ward and Relentless Hunter. It was only a few patches ago when Senna had over 30% ban rate, but it's now fallen off to around 6%, which makes her perfect to one-trick. Senna may not be as OP as a few patches back, but she's still in a great spot, and one-tricks are winning 58% of the time. Senna is unlike most other supports in the sense that she's a marksman played in the support role. This means in order to play Senna to her limits, you need to be proficient mechanically. With many supports, you can get away with lackluster mechanics, but it's not really the case with Senna. You've got to be auto-attacking and spacing properly in order to get the most out of the champ. So to speed up that process, one-tricking is a great idea. Once you have all your bases covered, Senna has ridiculous carry power as she scales better than most supports and has a good mix of utility and damage. The build for Senna is an Umbral Glaive Rush into Eclipse second and Rapid Fire Cannon third. Fleet is the keystone with Presence of Mind, Alacrity, and Cut Down. Grab Biscuits and Approach Velocity for secondaries.
Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving.
So there's our newest update on the best champions to one-trick and solo queue for the current meta. Thank you guys for watching, good luck on the Rift, and we'll see you back soon.